Welcome back to another episode on the Move to Millions podcast. I am your host, Dr. Darnyelle, God Girl, and I got a new title. I was having a conversation with a coach earlier this week, and she called me a soul strategist. And I kind of like that. So this is Dr. Darnyelle, God Girl, soul strategist, 8-figure entrepreneur, the award-winning CEO of Incredible One Enterprises, a business transformation company that works across all three verticals: small business, corporations, and governmental agencies, where we grow businesses, period. And I am excited to welcome you to season 6 on the Move to Millions podcast. This episode is powered by Move to Millions Live. Listen, if you are a 7-figure CEO or a 7-figure CEO in the making, and you want a safe, significant, and aligned space to do the soul work that is required for your strategy to take you all the way to 7 figures, then you should run, not walk, to go grab your ticket right now at movetomillionsevent.com. I have a question for you in this episode, and my question is simply this: what if the low 6-figure platform that you have built is really a plateau in disguise? And what if the fact that you keep repeating the same milestone over and over, or maybe inching up a couple of percentage points, what if it wasn't a business problem, but instead it were a spiritual problem? Are you unknowingly self-sabotaging your success because of your beliefs about abundance, and they don't actually match your 7-figure vision? And maybe you've been trying to figure out why you feel like you're on the hamster wheel, repeating the same milestone and achieving the same level of success year after year after year. Well, in today's episode, we are going to explore how aligning your spirit and your business can unlock your next level of success. So again, I'm excited to welcome you to season 6, where something bigger is about to happen. I am excited because I've been doing a lot of work. And unless this is your very first time listening to an episode on the podcast, then you have likely heard me share that approximately 5 years ago, I really started shifting the way that I showed up in my business. Now, I've always been a God girl, let's be clear. But I was a God girl who kind of kept her relationship with God to herself. That began to change in 2013 as a result of an epiphany and an encounter with the Holy Spirit through a prophet who actually walked into the doors of my live event. I began to realize that I needed to make a bold stand for God. And if I would be willing to take a bold stand for him, then he would actually make it easy for me to do this work, easy for me to show up in the lives and homes of those that I've been called to serve, easy for me to create a pattern interrupt in the way you see yourself and the way you think about abundance and how that correlates to your business. And so that began back in 2014. And we slowly but surely inch toward showing up more in our faith and allowing our faith to speak louder for us out in the marketplace. But about 5 years ago, 2020, you know what was happening in 2020. We were smack dab in the middle of COVID-19. We were all locked in home, right? We were not in a position where we could experience community at the same level that we had become accustomed to. And as a result, let me make it about me. As a result of that, I started to shift. I needed something greater. And so I had to go to a different place in my relationship with God. I had to put even more spirituality at the forefront for me in my daily practice. And so I began what today has become my abundance movement. I did it in private for many years because I'm not a theorist. And I only present ideas and concepts to other people once I'm 100% confident and fully convinced in my own mind that the strategy and the insights that I have gained will actually lead to the results that you seek in your life, in your business, in your career, etc. And so for several years, I kept my abundance practices to myself. Now, there's an episode on the podcast from last season, What Would Abundance Do?, where I share a few of my abundance practices with you. And I'd been doing that for 3 years and seeing results, finally getting to the point where I started to introduce it slowly but surely to clients in some of our offerings, and especially with the clients that I worked with one-on-one. and the results were massive. And that's how I've come to this realization that getting your business to 7 figures or 8 figures, for those of you who listen who have already done 7 figures and you're ready for your next money milestone, it's a spiritual thing. It is not a strategy thing. I have a retreat that I started in 2024 called the Soul and Strategy Retreat, where we spend a couple of days working on your soul and calling your soul higher, resetting your cellular memory, and teaching you how to regulate your nervous system so that more money can flow into your life experience. Because what you have to understand is that money is not hiding from you. Money wants to flow in your direction, but it can't because you don't have capacity and you don't feel safe with it based on what you were taught and what you caught as a child. So in this episode, we're going to explore money being spiritual and the spiritual shifts you'll need to make to get into spiritual alignment in order to allow the money goals that you've actually set for yourself to take you to the places that you've never seen before. And here's what I know. I am going to ask you to open up as you listen to this episode, or for those of you who'll be watching this episode on YouTube, as you watch, I'm going to invite you to listen. I'm going to also invite you to make sure that you have your Move to Millions podcast notebook front and center. It's a new season, so you might need a new notebook. I am going to be downloading into you this year at a level that is bigger, at a level that is higher, at a level that is going to call you forth to who it is that God created you to be since before you were formed in your mother's womb. So let's go. All right. So let's talk about what the real problem is. The real problem is you're spiritually misaligned. That's the real problem. Now, you have to understand that your business is always going to reflect your beliefs. If you find yourself plateaued, I've stopped trying to use the word stuck, even though I know that might be the word that you still use to describe where you are. Because in my opinion, you're not really stuck. You're still moving. You're still taking actions. You're still seeing results. But what's happening is you kind of leveled out. So it's more of a plateau. So if you find yourself on a plateau anywhere from consistently doing $200,000 to $400,000 a year, because that's where most of our clients come in to work with us. They've successfully gotten to 6 figures. They've taken a look around. They were excited to get there. They've taken a look around and they have quickly realized that a low 6-figure business is small business poverty. I've been saying that for years. And while it might make you clutch your pearls the very first time you hear me say it, you also, if you really look at what's happened in your business since you crossed 100,000 or even 200,000, you know that I'm telling the truth, because it's not enough to really live the life that you quit your good job for. And it is not enough for you to start building financial wealth and legacy, because legacy truly is financial. And so what I've come to realize is that the reason that you're on this plateau is because there is a gap between what it is that you believe that you deserve and what you are asking for, right? So you get what you tolerate. You don't get what you believe. You don't get what you desire. You get what you tolerate and you get what you have capacity for. So unless you've learned how to expand your capacity, there's not going to be space enough for 7 figures to flow into your life experience. Now, I'm going to take you back to 2011, January 1st, 2011, to be exact. This is when I came back into the business full time. I started Incredible One Enterprises in October of 2007. The first 3 to 4 years are what we call the lost years. Those are the years where there was bankruptcy, there was me going back to work, there was the avoidance of living in my car. It wasn't pretty. It was years where I was completely smack dab in the middle of the statistics that said that most Black women-owned businesses did not generate more than $24,000 a year. Now, that statistic has since been upgraded. Wells Fargo did a study in 2004, which told us that Black women-owned businesses are now generating, on average, $47,000 a year, which is still way too low. Our white counterparts are doing $192,600 a year. So we're still way behind the 8 ball, right? And so back when I first came into the business in 2007, right in line with the statistics, went back to work, humbled myself, realized what I didn't know, because you know the things that you know, and you might even know the things that you don't know, but there are a whole bunch of other things that you didn't even know you needed to know that if you don't know them will impact your business in a substantial way. And that's what I was experiencing in those lost years. So in January of 2011, when I came back into the business full time, One of the significant shifts that happened, and I started on in 2011, that was complete for me in 2014, was radically dismantling all of the beliefs that had my first few years, those lost years of being years where I was underneath the statistic. And what I had to realize is that I was not believing that I was worthy of and deserving of the seven figures that I was asking for. See, I set the goal from January 1st, 2011 onward because I knew in my spirit, and I know many of you know in your spirit that you have a seven-figure business. You know it. No one can tell you differently, even though it's not your reality right now. Well, that was me from the onset of hearing God say Incredible One Enterprises, watching myself in my dream walk into the building that had the marquee that read Incredible One Enterprises. I knew that I knew that I knew, like my name is Darnyelle Antoinette. I knew that I was going to do seven figures. Yet it continued to elude me. And it eluded me because I deep down, subconsciously, did not hold the belief that I was deserving of seven figures. It was also a problem because I had seven figures on a pedestal, that it was something that would be challenging, hard for me to actually obtain. And this is where we first go wrong. Because if you understand God and if you understand his mandate for your life, if you understand Ephesians 3:20, now unto him who is able to do exceedingly abundant above all you could ever ask of, think, or imagine, according to the power that is at work within you. That is the God that's on the inside of you, because in Genesis 1:26, when he said, let us make man in our image and likeness, let us give him power and authority to call everything under his subjection. When he said, be fruitful and multiply in Genesis 1:26, that is the God that has already given you the capacity to have access to seven figures. If we go to Deuteronomy 8, where we are told that it is the Lord our God that gives us the power to create wealth. That power is the capacity. We are gifted with the capacity, but we got to step into that thing. And until we step into it, we are going to be spiritually misaligned in our business. One of my quotes that is in my book, Move to Millions, The Proven Framework to Become $1 Million CEO with Grace and Ease Instead of Hustle and Grind, is simply this. If you hold the belief that you must work hard in order to make money, then you cannot make money unless you are doing hard work. Your actions, write this down, will always follow your beliefs. Now, here's the thing. No success is realized through hard work. I know that goes against everything you've been taught to believe, because you were praised and you got money when you worked hard. And when you did anything, the accolades that came with a celebration of hard work, which made you keep working hard. Y'all don't hear me. All of the things that you are doing, all of the things that are showing up in your business, all of the things that are keeping you from seven figures today stem from what you were taught and what you were caught and how you have internalized those beliefs. Because what I need you to understand is that no success, including success financially, has to or requires that you work hard. All success requires that you be spiritually aligned. That is the key. Now, I realize that you probably, just like me, now remember, I'm the product of two drug addicted turned crack addicted parents born in the projects of Wilmington, Delaware. Now, we did eventually move from the projects, but we still lived very mediocrely, largely due into the fact that my mom went to jail when I was 8, and my dad, who was a fully functioning addict his entire life, although he had a good job, he took most of his resource to support his habit, and we got the crumbs that were left over. So we felt very poor, even though we were technically middle class, right? And because many of us were raised with limiting beliefs like, you have to work hard for money. Money doesn't grow on a tree out back. Money is the root of all evil. All of those beliefs that we were taught and internalized, that we couldn't have money unless we did hard work. I mean, I don't know about you, but did you have an allowance growing up? I didn't. I didn't get paid for doing my chores. That was my job, as my dad told me. But for those of you who did earn money for doing your chores, that indoctrinated and ingrained in you that money came when you efforted it, and not that money comes when you embody. And that is the biggest shift I need you to make. And that's what we focus on at our soul and strategy retreat, getting you to embody the 7-figure CEO that you are craving and clamoring to become. Because once you begin to do that, everything begins to change, right? These beliefs actually create invisible barriers to your abundance. So I remember when I was 13 years old and I came home at 13, I was in the 7th grade and we were going on a field trip. And my little group of girlfriends, we all wanted to get the same airbrush t-shirt. Y'all remember when airbrush was a thing? Some of you will remember, some of you will be like, what in the world is airbrush, right? Airbrush was a thing, and we were getting airbrush t-shirts with our name on them, and we were going to get these cute little acid wash, another throwback, acid wash jean shorts. And they were like shorty shorts, but appropriately short for being 13 years old. And in order to get these things, I needed $25. Now, I had $5. So I went and I asked my father for $20. And when I asked my father for $20, he turned around really, really fast. Those of you who are watching the video version of the episode will see that head swirl. And he said, "Oh, I get it. You think there's a tree out back with money on it. Well, go on then." And he like kind of shoe flied me. "Go on then. Go out back and pick you $20. When I looked at him like he had 12 heads, he began to break down to me the way money worked as it worked for him. And he explained to me that he had to work 40 hours a week. And some weeks he worked overtime, doing up to 60 or 80 hours in order to get the little, his words, not mine, paycheck that would allow him to keep a roof over our head and food in the cupboards for us to eat. There was nothing extra. There was nothing left over for me to get my airbrush t-shirt and my acid wash shorts. And that if I wanted it, I needed to find a way to work harder. Y'all, my father, I don't think he did it on purpose. I think he did the best that he could with what he had. But he literally scarred me for life, y'all. Just like I'm sure your parents scarred you for life with the very same thing. So what did I do? I went out at 13 years old with getting permission from my father to get working papers, going to see my guidance counselor in school to get working papers so that I could get a job, so that I could start working. I worked at McDonald's, my very first job, 20 hours a week in order to have a few dollars in order to be able to get the things that I want. That belief, that limiting belief that I had to work really, really hard to get a couple of dollars is what flowered my early entrepreneurship journey. Now, after filing bankruptcy at 35 years old, and being forced, fingers in air quotes, for those of you who won't see the video, to take a financial literacy course, and recognizing at that point in time that everything my dad told me was wrong and that money was in fact spiritual. I talked in the last episode about being on a cruise at the start of 2025 and how being out in the middle of the ocean, surrounded by the flow of abundance, the life force, water, and literally hearing the Spirit of the Lord say to me, "See this ocean, see this body of water, see how it doesn't end? So it is with abundance, so it is with money, so it is with the money I want to bring into your life experience." And in that moment, on that boat, in the middle of the ocean, I watched my capacity expand again. I watched my vibration accelerate. And I watched the vision for how I will continue to expand my reach and my capacity to generate more than 8 figures in a year came in. It came flooding in just like the water surrounding me. So what I recognize and what I want you to understand is that if you want to achieve your next level money goals, you're going to need to do a soul check. So the first question I want you to reflect on right now is, what belief might you be holding that is holding you back from stepping into your 7-figure business? Let me repeat that. What belief might you be holding right now that is holding you back from stepping into your 7-figure business? Now, let's talk a little bit about how misalignment shows up in your business. So let's talk first about some of the symptoms of misalignment. Number 1, overworking in order to prove that you are worthy and deserving of the opportunity that's been presented to you. We make these promises when we are being presented. I promise to you that I will show up 110%, as if showing up 100%, showing up fully is not enough. We've got to go the extra mile, because if we go the extra mile, then our clients won't question the value of the investment that they made. Do you realize that that is all lack talk? That is all lack processing that's happening in your brain. That is what's happening, right? Number two, underpricing your services or doubting the value of your services. Knowing what it's going to cost when you run the formula. One of the things that we offer everyone who opts into our list, and if you are not on our list, I highly recommend that you go to movetomillions.com and then click on freebies and pick any one of our free gifts and opt in. Once you enter your name, your stage of business, your email, and your phone number, you're going to advance to a second screen. And on that second screen, I'm going to offer you our pricing calculator for free. This is a tool that you can literally plug in all the numbers, all of your direct costs, all of your general and administrative costs, all of your overhead costs, the percentage of profitability, and the amount of active time that you are going to show up to serve your clients based on your own personal salary and what you want to earn from your business. And it will spit out for you what you should be charging for your service. I would love to give you that gift. Just go opt in for one of our freebies and it is yours. Go to movetomillions.com/freebies. Because underpricing or doubting your value is part of the reason you're not making seven figures. One of the things I can tell you, when a client comes to work with us in our proximity mastermind, one of the very first things we do is we have them take a detailed assessment. We learn everything about their business. And what I almost invariably find 85% of the time is that the moment they enroll in our program, which means that they are somewhere between $300,000 and $400,000 a year, because that's where you have to be to get into the proximity mastermind. At that moment, they already have a seven-figure business. They're just not packaged, priced, and positioned correctly. So number two is undervaluing your pricing and doubting, your value. Number three is overinflating your offers, meaning putting way more into them than you have to in order to justify the pricing, which is usually underpriced that you give them. Number five, hanging on to team members longer than you should. This is a sign of how misalignment shows up in your business. Next, thinking of investments as if they are purchases instead of the cheat code to fast track and accelerate your business to your next level. Or playing small to avoid judgment or criticism. If you've ever caught yourself saying, "Who am I to?" insert whatever you might be judging in that moment. Or, "What will people think if I actually accomplish this?" then I need you to know that this episode, and we are already well in, is for you. And you are welcome. Because it is time that you get spiritually aligned so that you can experience everything that it is that God has for you in your business. Now, how are you going to do this? You're going to have to shift your beliefs first, and then you're going to have to connect the right beliefs to the results that you want to accomplish, right? So I believe that if your beliefs are, because your beliefs are shaping your actions and your actions are creating your outcomes, that if you change your beliefs, you will change your results. Think of the formula this way. It starts as a thought. It turns into a feeling or a belief, usually a feeling or a belief of inadequacy or insecurity, which then flowers or determines the words that you speak out of your mouth and over yourself, the casual covenants that you begin to make, which then impact the actions that you take and ultimately the results that you get. It starts with how you see things, how you think about things, what you speak about things, how you act because of things, and ultimately how you position or set yourself up to receive. All of this can be changed. That's the beautiful thing about a belief. There's a lie smack dab in the middle. And at the moment that you decide anything you used to believe, you can stop believing and start believing something that actually serves you and will position you to go to the next level. And ultimately, all of this is going to position you to break through your ceiling. So in order to do that, number one, you're going to have to identify the limiting beliefs that are holding you back. So I want you to actually write down the first thought that comes to your mind when you hear me say money or success or seven figures. Then I want you to ask yourself if that belief is serving you or stopping you. For years, I believed that I had to work hard in order to experience success. because growing up, that's what my dad told me all the time, right? But when I replaced that belief with I attract wealth with grace and ease, everything began to shift. And I speak that over myself every single day. Number two, you're going to have to reframe your beliefs about abundance. So you're going to have to replace those limiting beliefs with empowering truths. And an action tip for you to take is to write an affirmation that is aligned with abundance, such as, I am a magnet for opportunities and wealth to flow to me consistently. And number three, you're going to have to align your actions with faith and purpose. You're going to have to take bold, aligned actions that reflect your true beliefs in accordance to what it is that you know to be true about your worth and your worthiness. Listen, God made you worthy at the point, actually, before you were even born. The Bible says in Jeremiah 1:5, before you were formed in your mother's womb, God knew you and approved you. That is when he gave you your worthiness. So there is no question about your worth, regardless of what you were taught and told as a child, no matter what the things were that were spoken over to you, right? Remember, hurt people hurt people. And if your parents or your elders had been traumatized by their loved ones, the things that they may have said to you would be inappropriate and cause you to believe that you were unworthy, but God created you worthy. And then the next thing that you have to do, number four, is you have to make your abundance practice intentional. Things like my What Would Abundance Do bracelet, things like my abundance alarms that go off throughout the course of the day, things like spending time every single day tapping into abundance, literally getting grounded and centered in abundance every single day. Things like speaking I am abundance consistently over yourself until you feel the flow ruminate through your vessel. Those are the things that are going to help you to make your practice intentional around abundance. Because ultimately, once you do this, you'll be able to align your spirituality with the practicality of being a seven-figure CEO. Now, a spiritual alignment fuels your practical success. When your beliefs align with abundance, it actually gives you the courage and the permission to charge at the level that is commensurate with your greatness and the value that you offer to the solution you provide to the problem that your most ideal clients have been unsuccessful at solving on their own. It will allow you to delegate with confidence and to hire the team that will expand your mission and your brand without compromising the values that you hold dear. And it will allow you to show up as the CEO that your business actually needs. You've heard me share before about the importance of 10xing your vision. And I'm going to do an updated episode on that this season because I've got bigger revelations for your 10x that are going to make a difference in getting you to the next level. So I want to encourage you to integrate your faith every single day into your business decisions and your business practices. I want you to start each morning with prayer and affirmation that declares abundance over your life and over your business. I've shared on numerous episodes about many of the shifts that have happened for me spiritually in my business that have helped me to break a plateau. This is one that I don't believe I've actually shared before. So, you know the story about crossing seven figures for the very first time in 2014, doing it 2014, 2015, 2016. By 2017, we did not have a seven-figure business because I hated my business and I had to find a way to realign it, right? That's when I stopped chasing money and I started chasing my purpose and I started focusing on tithing goals instead of revenue goals. And that was a big spiritual shift for me. And you know that. I've shared that story before. 2019, we came back to seven figures and we started doubling the business every year. And as a result of doubling the business every single year, and in 2024, the portfolio doing eight figures, what I realized is that the spiritual shifts that I made every single year are what made the difference and how they helped me to stop showing up and playing small from a place of fear and trusting my gifts, my talents, and my God, and that God wanted me to prosper. God desired that I be one of my former clients and friends. I had dinner with them this week, the time of recording this episode. And she said, "You are just filthy rich." And even as she said it, The way it showed up for me was like there was something wrong with that. But today, as I sit here and I reflect back, I am filthy rich. I have more money than I could give, spend, invest, or save. And I'm proud of that. I'm not ashamed of that. I'm not concerned about being judged for that because abundance is my birthright and God Himself gave me the power to create wealth. And I use my business to bring that wealth into my life experience. So it's been a game changer for me. And I think about clients, like most recently, 2 clients pop into my head that we have helped to get back into spiritual alignment, and it has made a big difference in their business. Dr. Rachel and Dr. Kimmy, both of which saw massive influxes of new cash coming into their businesses as a result of us doing some soul work. It's why I created my Soul and Strategy Retreat, the one I'm hosting next week at the time of this recording. By the time you hear this episode, I will be approaching that Soul and Strategy Retreat. It's too late for you to join us for that. But if you are on our list, you will get notifications about our next Soul and Strategy Retreat, which will be after Move to Millions Live. For the next couple of months, we're going to be focused on getting you to Move to Millions Live to join us. Here are a couple of statistics I want you to think about as we round out this episode today. 80% of your business success is attributed to the beliefs that you hold. Now, this is a statistic that I found online at Harvard Business Review, that 80% of your success is attributed to mindset and belief systems. And these are studies that have been completed in entrepreneurial psychology. I'm going to tell you the Darnyelle statistic, and that is that 95% of your success is tied to mindset and how you see yourself. And your ability to make money is going to hinge on, first, the regulation of your nervous system and your ability to feel safe and to feel safe with money. All of the trauma that the money challenges in your life have brought up has questioned your safety around money. And that is why you cannot bring in massively more amounts of it at any one particular point in time. And the way you see yourself and the way you see God, depending upon how you are raised and how religious you might still be, instead of being spiritual and open to spiritual practice, right? And seeing the flow and the abundance that is God, all of that is going to flower your decision-making and the way you show up in your business. And I also know from personal firsthand experience, this is why we've helped so many people in just the last few years cross and sustain 7-figure businesses, because entrepreneurs who incorporate their faith and spiritual alignment into their business report at least 2 times higher satisfaction and sustainability rates for their revenue and their profitability. Business is spiritual, ladies and gentlemen. And the sooner you tap into your spirituality and incorporate it into your business, the sooner you will make the move to millions. It's why we expanded the Move to Millions method and created the Move to Millions method 2.0 to give spirituality its own pillar inside of our powerful framework. So this week, I'm issuing a challenge for you to take some inspired action to move in the direction of being in spiritual alignment to bring your 7 figures into view. So I want you to write down one limiting belief about success and money and replace it with an empowering truth. Then I want you to take one action that actually aligns with your new belief. I want you to remember this mantra all week. And in our midweek episode, the Move to Millions Minute, we'll anchor this in with a full affirmation. When my beliefs align with abundance, my business flows with ease. Oh, I love that. When my beliefs align with abundance, my business flows with ease. And if you are ready to do the soul work that is required to step boldly into the spiritual practice that will elevate your strategy, your sales, your systems, and your support mechanisms for your business, then I invite you to go and register right now for Move to Millions Live at movetomillionsevent.com. And I'll see you guys next time. Take care.